Well, here we are, another reviewer's view at T.H.E. show.
Are you as tired as I am?
I am exhausted. My name is Peter Breuninger, and
David Robinson, positive feedback. I had to think about that.
it's pretty bad when you forget your name.
Right, but that shows it was a great show.
It was a great show. I think this is the best T.H.E. show I've ever attended.
Exactly.
I mean, no doubt about it. I mean, I've never seen so many people here on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday.
Exactly.
And in fact, we're fighting the people outside who want to come into the PFO room right now, and we have guards across the door.
Yeah. Big dog. Big dog.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, like I said, you're tired, I'm tired because it was such a great show.
Yeah.
I'm really curious to hear what you were moved by, man.
Well, I'll tell you, to start it off, to me, this was another show where there was a lot of reel-to-reel tape and a lot of DSD. Yep. It's the high-resolution formats viewers that are pushing through and are making the progress. Mm-hmm. I mean, I'll kick off. I was walking down the hall, coming at me was Anne Besson. Luckily, I had her tape in my hand. And I don't know why I had her tape in my hand, and I was headed down to the MBL room just to see if it'd be possible at some point in time to play the tape. Well, this was Thursday and press day, and lo and behold, yes, it was possible. So we sat down, and Greg Barone from United Home Audio spun up Blue Mind, and Ann sat in the sweet spot. And David,
nice.
she did this. She went, oh. She would go,
wow.
Oh my. And she would speak in French, and she would go, I've never heard that before. That's not in the recording. I've never heard that. I don't own a reel-to-reel tape machine. So this is the first time I've heard reel-to-reel tape. And boy, did it sound good that day.
Oh my.
In the MBL room. And that was not that was not one of the MBL parties where everybody's cranking it up and playing the woo-woo song.
No, as a matter of fact, Anne is just a wonderful person. I mean,
There's no doubt.
I've heard her sing live in listening rooms and been around her. I think she's a brilliant vocalist, but it's funny when you have musicians who get the big breakthrough of finally hearing themselves, really hearing themselves.
Right, and then you're sitting there, I'm right behind her watching her, and I have the video camera, so she'll be caught on video, and you'll see the expression from her side of how she feels about the sound in that room. I mean, it was awesome. So that was a really cool thing for me to experience, to watch the artist experience her work in a top level room. One of the better, if not one of the best sounding rooms at the show this year.
Yeah,
it was a good room.
Pretty typical of MBL.
Pretty typical. They saw that big sound stage.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they were in with their new components too.
That's right.
They weren't using the big guys.
Yep.
No 9011s or 9008s.
Yeah, they were the NOLA line.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, they got the new stuff that's in there.
Yep.
And
Noble, excuse me. Yeah.
Yep. And that line really impressed me because.
Me too.
Because they've taken their more entry level stuff up a level or two now. And they're hooking out to the 101s.
Yep, yep, it worked.
You're not giving up much there, brothers.
No, you're not. No, you're not. Well, we're walking down the hall from that room. I walked into the DartZeel room, Jonathan Tin's room, with the big evolutions. And last year I missed that room, and this year we have it on video. And folks, I'll tell you, if you want to talk about big, gigantic sound, I mean, oh my goodness gracious, it was huge.
Yeah, the big MM3s with the exact external crossovers, together with all of the other world-class sources they were running was a revelation. Those big 458 DartZeels.
Can you believe it?
They're pretty close to the top of my list of the greatest amps ever built.
I think you're right. Yeah,
they're fantastic. So you ran into that room and had the same experience I did.
I did, yeah.
I got to hear talk to Joel Duran with his new DAC there too.
How about that? He stopped me and he said, "Hey, did you take a video of mine?" I said, "Well, Jonathan pointed it out." So Joel, who does the tone arms from Duran, has now got a DAC, and you'll see that in the video as well.
Oh yeah, well that's worth hearing about. It's just now ramping up. I can hardly wait for that to hit the market. It's not like anything else I've heard. It really isn't. So.
Well, how about that? Well, as I kind of go down my list of great rooms, one of the rooms and one of the newer players in the turntable world, who's a new old player, was a Doman turntable, and the Doman Helix turntable was in a couple rooms. Well, first off, it was in the audio union room with Thrax and Encline, and that was a great combination. It was also it's the Chiron room, and it's the Australian company that.
Oh man!
I'll tell you, why does that speaker sound so good?
I have no idea. I got to Chiron just today, and the reason that I went to Chiron was I ran into Michael Fremer, and he says, "Have you listened to the Chiron room yet?" I said, "No." He says, "You go to the Chiron room."
Yeah.
So I go down and I dropped into the room, and here's one of the most unusual and unlikely. You look at the front, it looks like. You look at the back, and you're thinking, "Oh wow, they left the enclosure off."
Yeah.
But the sound of this dedicated system with a really great turntable was unique. I don't think I've heard anything quite like that.
No.
I agree with you. Chiron, really amazing.
No, I was very, very impressed with that room. And it's interesting because the amplifiers, it's big, it's large, and it powers all of the speakers, and has DSP processing, because they say that the woofers, they don't develop enough bass without the baffle, so that they add to it and enhance it. And it was a disappearing speaker act, man. I mean, how cool is that? I mean,
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I was surprised because I've seen enclosureless designs before, and this is the first time I found one that convinced me.
Yeah, me too. Me too.
First time. The rest of them, it was like, that's not such a good idea. You can save costs in other ways.
Yeah. Now, I've heard the Bastani sound pretty good, but yet you have to order the drivers and have a craftsman make the enclosure for you. And Bill DeMars does that with beauty of sound, but this is in a different ballpark. This is in the luxury market ballpark, and they're just a fabulous speaker. Other kind of open baffle speakers that impressed me, the Emerald Physics room again this year was sounding really good.
Yeah.
He does the Fairfield 4. He plays it, and the guy's got the low blues, and then the other guy's got the tenor, and it all just gelled together. And I'd have to give that for cost. The whole room cost, I think the whole system was $16,000, and it changed many other rooms. It was a good.
Well, Mark Shifter is working really hard. I ran across him last year. And he was telling about what they were doing. I didn't get a chance to catch it this year, so I'm glad to hear that you were impressed by it.
Yeah, I was very, very, very impressed.
Yeah.
Yeah, throw another room.
Well, Philip O'Hanlon's On a Higher Note room was
always a great room.
It was fantastic. He had set up a surround system and was doing some DSD, and I'm listening to it. And I believe he had Synergistic in the room with him as well. And the results were just magnificent. He was playing tapes. Philip, I think, was the only guy at the show who was playing 30 IPS half-inch tapes.
Yeah. There were other 30 IPS machines, but not half-inch machines at the show.
The half-inch. And also playing DSD surround. And I tell you, the opening to some Mahler he played was astonishing. And he came to me afterwards and he says, I think we can get more out of the record. I said, look, I don't want to die when I'm listening. The sound was just fabulous. So kudos to Philip. He did a great job.
Yeah. Hand clap for him too.
Yeah.
I'll throw out a room, the Mod Right room. Now they had these little amplifiers, and he has his high line amplifier. It's a single-ended design. Jack Eliano does the transformers. Lou Daedalus does the woodwork on it, and Dan Wright does the circuit. It was sounding way too good. It was Alex Sventiski's personal pair of Daedalus loudspeakers that had been updated last year, and they're short in stature and they're dark. It's a dark walnut. And it disappeared. I mean, I've heard Mod Right rooms sound good before, but I've never heard a Mod Right room completely disappear. That was good. That room really worked for me.
Exceptional room.
Yeah, exceptional. Yeah.
There were several other on the fourth floor. We're in good company here.
Yeah, you are here.
We Dan Meinwald with the ear system and all the rest of that, and the Martins. Oh, sheesh. Dan consistently, year in and year out,
room after room, year after year,
And I think we've said that before.
I think we have said that before.
It's just,
It's 2016. You're watching the right video.
Yeah. Second verse is the same as the first.
That's right.
We got, listened to them, turntable going, and it was sounding terrific. Tim has just done brilliant work.
Yep.
The 913 preamp is fantastic.
Yep.
But it's the quality of the music. Dan knows vinyl. He knows what's good.
He does.
He's always spinning it, so it's great.
He does.
Your turn now. You got something?
Okay. Well, I'll throw one out, and that was the Perla Room. And Perla came on the scene 4 years ago. They were active for a couple years. They came to shows, and then last year they pulled back a little bit. Well, they're coming back with vengeance. They've made these tall speakers that are going to be box design, but thin type electrostatic or magnetic static panels. And Shane from Perla was showing me the technology, and you'll see it in the video of the panels themselves. They stand as tall as I do, and that's the mid-range unit. They're working on the tweeters and the woofer unit, and they say by next year for T.H.E. show, we're going to see a statement multi-power product from Perla. So that was kind of a nifty thing. Right. How about another nifty thing you saw?
Nifty thing. Yeah. Well, this time I saw Ted Denny do his Synergistic Research demo in the biggest room I've ever seen him in. And he had his UF panels up so high that they had to have been using a 30-foot ladder. He did a demo where he did his usual subtractives with his new power conditioner supply system. And he also had his platforms in place. And the demonstration was so totally convincing that I brought one of our PF writers who's been writing with us for 2 or 3 years, but I brought Scott Robertson to his very first audio show.
How about that?
He's never been to an audio show. And I said, you've got to sit in on this demonstration. I want you to see what you think. And he was double taking all the way through. And afterwards he walked out in the hall and he says, I don't believe that. There's no comparison.
Well, the thing about it is, we shot video. We have a video with the Tranquility bases and the new technology on and off, and you can hear the difference. And you'll see my reaction to the video. I had to ham it up and come into the shot at the end. I was so excited. It is very convincing. The point of that demonstration that Ted was trying to make to me was, we were talking top of the line solution, Magic 07s, cause no object system, and he said, if a lot of guys think that's all you have to do is just spend the money. He said, but it's just these little things, these little extra bits that you do. That's what brings and expands that soundstage and turns it into your own personal concert hall.
Well, I had that demo done in 2 of my listening rooms at home last October. It totally shocked me. I mean, you really don't know what your system can do until you've got some synergistic research in the system. You don't, flat out. Don't think you know what it is.
Yep, you got to check it out, folks. I'll throw another room out. I got a call before the show that we had to stop in and visit the von Schweikert room. Von Schweikert's reinvented themselves. Damon von Schweikert is now president of the company. Leif Swanson is now head of sales and marketing. And Albert has been put back into the engineering side of the firm, where he just thinks up and the designs, the circuits and the crossovers and the speakers. And we had a listening session last night with Ambasson singing on the, off her Blue Mind album on reel tape. And I never heard such layered detail. I mean, it rivaled, and in some respects it was a little faster sounding than in the MBL room. I was appalled. I've heard von Schweikert speakers before, but I'd never heard them like this.
No, and the Associated Electronics Constellation with that big new amp of theirs.
That's right, the Mark II version.
Wow.
Yeah, Mark II. Yep.
That was I've heard the VR55 actives like you have.
Yeah.
But this is the best I've heard them sound. Everything in that room came together, and it was just monstrous good.
It was like, whoa. Whoa. Another whoa room for me, and these were smaller speakers, was the Gamut room. And again. And I gotta nudge you here. So you're getting a pair of Zodiacs on Tuesday,
Yes.
I hear.
You're right.
I said to Michael Vamos 6 months ago, I said, boy, that would really be good in my room. It would be cool to maybe review them. And he wasn't paying attention because I said, well, you mean Dave Robinson's going to get the Zodiacs? He says, well, Peter, you never asked me. I said, well, I kind of did, but I didn't. I should have just stood right in your face and said, I want to review those.
That's
he
right.
said, well, after Dave is done, we'll ship them out to
Ship them over to
you.
you.
So you're gonna get to see the Zodiacs in print and with the words of wisdom from a magician wordsmith, and then you're going to get to see them in video.
Well, you know that I got to tell you, I'm feeling a little bit sorry for myself that I arrived home on Monday and then I got the whole additional day tearing apart in a whole system. But I'm going to feel really good by Wednesday.
Yeah, because even the small ones, it was just alive. It made the music come to life. There's something about Gamut that is natural sounding. It doesn't sound like tubes. It doesn't sound like transistors. It sounds like music.
Well, it's organic. It's the kind of, I tell you, you know what it is? It's the kind of sound you would have killed for when you were in college.
Oh yeah.
It's got that rich, organic.
Yep.
You can push anything you want through it, and it doesn't tap out. It doesn't sound constricted. It just lets fly. And that, I think, is what makes Gamut really important as a design. It reminds me of the really great stuff in the past where you just sat back all evening long listening to music.
I know, and we were talking, I'm going to be doing a review project while you have the Zodiacs and I wait for the Zodiacs of another Danish speaker, and he said, well, Peter, he said, you're going to get a shock when we send you the Zodiacs, because he said, you're going to be coming off a very popular speaker. He said, it sounds extremely good, but he said, now you're going to get a speaker that's going to sound like music. So there's many ways to skin a Danish cat.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Hey, I got to also, speaking in terms of surprising, right across the hall, Prana Fidelity.
Yeah.
Did you get in there and listen to those $8,000 Prana Fidelity speakers?
How about those things? Whoa.
The phrase that comes to mind is kick-ass. They were doing open reel tape, and they had Turntable going. Ying Tan was in there with Steven Norber.
Yep.
And I sat there right after I arrived because I was hearing this great sound coming out of the room.
Yeah.
I went over there and I proceeded to be gobsmacked. It was so good and so rich and organic, and it felt like it was unlimited dynamics.
Yep.
It was warm and fun.
Well, when I was in the room as well, I was over and I was going through the tapes, and I said to Steve Norber, I said, well, where's the new Vanessa? He goes, well, there it is right there. I said, 6 reels, right? He goes, yeah, there's 6 of them. So I went through and I found, Lemon Song. Oh, good, this is what we want. So he was, the deck, it was a little tricky getting the tape to sit and seat into the deck before we did the rewind to get to the Lemon Song, and we sat there and we rewound it, and I'm sitting there and I'm like this as a kid, like, and it's winding back and forth, and it's going, and then he hits play. And Vanessa was there.
Oh, wow.
I mean, it was cool. And we've been taking that, we took Vanessa Fernandez, When the Levee Breaks, to Munich, and everybody was taking their cell phones out, taking pictures of it. Where did they get it? Wow. It was awesome. It was like a religious experience. And that was the first gen right off of Bernie Grumman's Master. So how cool is that?
It's really, I agree. The room was just killer.
Yeah.
I tell you, I gotta, once again, as usual, the Blue Light Audio Room, of course, fantastic, as you've already mentioned. GTT Audio, all 3 of their rooms.
All 3,
Totally different flavors in each room. You had the full range room, the big room downstairs, and of course you're listening to the Kronos and 2 pairs of the Max amps from AudioNet. You and I both know how good the AudioNet is. And so we're listening to that, and it was no holds barred, unconstricted. And I went back several times, and it just got better and better. But we also went and caught the one with Carmel's 2s.
Yeah, that was sounding real good. We did the same thing.
We
had a 2 o'clock appointment this afternoon to do all 3 rooms. We started with Key. We played Vanessa. Then we went over to Carmel. We played some more. We went downstairs and we played in the big room. And the big room just blew my mind. It blew my mind.
Yeah, it really is.
It was, whoa.
In that category, though, of compact and unbelievable, that Key 3 speaker.
That key, yeah.
It was really funny because I ran into Michael Fremer again. The 2 times I ran into him, apart from sitting out and drinking, was when I ran into him in that room, and he just looked at me. He says, "These blankety blank keys are unbelievable."
Yeah.
He says, "Really unbelievable." And again, I had Scott Robertson with me. He's an engineer himself. He sat down and listened. He says, "I can't believe that."
Yeah.
He says, "There's nothing here.
Yeah.
There's some speakers and an auralic.
Yeah, that's it.
That's all there is."
That's it. And there's a switch on the back, and you can get the speakers as close to 4 inches from the back wall or out, and it's got a little switch that controls how far away from the back wall you can place the Key 3s. And I thought that was very interesting because some people don't want the speakers to be sitting out in the middle of the room, and that's all you do. Flip the switch, stick them back, stick in your dongle, do the thing, click, play, and there you go on Rune or J River or Tidal.
Yep.
Bing, you're up and running.
You're going.
Yep.
Now, I'm going to say hi too to Mark Phillips and Colleen Cardis.
Yep.
The little system they had with it was with the Brigadier speakers, I think it was. The pure audio turntable and phono system was absolutely fine. Very musical, compact. I walked in and I was a little skeptical because it's bookcase size, they're monitors. And when they cranked up the music, I just said, there it is. It's really fantastic. So, I mean, I love Mark and Colleen anyway, but
they're great peeps.
It's nice. It's nice when you can say, "Man, fantastic job on there."
Yeah. I'll throw out a room, and this has been getting my attention over the past year and a half, is the mating of auralic or uralic. It's auralic. I twist that up. It's something in my brain. I don't know what's the matter with myself. And Ryan. And there's a synergy between those 2 companies that it really, really does stand out. And I heard it again at this show. And those Ryan speakers, I mean, they came on the scene. I thought, oh, here we go, another loudspeaker company. And they thought, oh, we're from California. Oh, great. Well, I'm from Pennsylvania.
I've run across them several times.
Yeah.
Matter of fact, at the last show in Exponent, I had 2 rooms I gave Audio Oasis Awards to that had Ryan speakers.
There you go. Yeah.
I had no idea who they were.
Yeah, I think there's going to be awards given from us as well to that room too. So that was very cool.
Did you get by the Merrill Audio room with the German physics speakers?
No, I did not. I missed that.
I got to tell you, I had heard German physics speakers years ago. The only other Omni that's out there besides MDL, and they had been out of the American scene for a while with distribution problems. But they seem to have resolved those now, and so Robert and company come back this time, and I hadn't heard them in years. They got a completely new version of their Omnis, and I went into that room. They had the Merrill Audio electronics and the like with those Omnis, and I sat there and I said, "Man, this is the best I've ever heard them sound." And if you want your room full of music and sounding really great, the combination of Merrill and of the German physics was fantastic.
Yeah, and it won't break the bank. That's the
No,
other thing.
exactly right.
Yeah, you're not talking a $200,000 setup.
Exactly.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
that room really caught my ear,
Yeah.
and I didn't get to it until today.
How about that?
Yep.
Well, I'll take the ball back. I'm gonna say, I've heard the Bracasti room many times. I've asked for review samples. He's promised them to me. I've just never done the, come down date. He's probably going, what's the matter with him? He keeps inviting me out for a date, but he never shows up at my door, type of thing. So I'm going to make sure that happens now. We're freeing up another room in our home to review equipment. We have an Audio Note Level 5 system finally completed about 4 weeks ago up in our Studio 1. And Studio 2, we're going to open up. We're going to have some Triangle Art equipment come in. It was sounding very good today at the show. He has designed his own amps now. Instead of the NAT amps, now we have Triangle Art amps. And they sounded pretty darn musical to me. And he's after me to re-speak. Peter, give me some mojo on these. I'll send them all out to you. I'll come out and help you set them up. And so that's going to happen. But then in addition to that, was kind of nifty to see him, Tom Vu is his name, from Triangle Art, come out with his own amps along with those cool turntables. Was a couple doors down and up. If I were down, I get mistaken on the floors. Was the Breuninger room, again, back to that room. And Brian Zellner is in the pro audio world. He makes these reverb devices they're in every recording studio in the world. And so he's a household name in the pro world. And the pro people will do anything for him. So he had one of the pro guys who's a producer engineer. He has a pop song, and I don't remember the name of the pop song. I don't follow today's pop music. And
you're not alone.
And they had pulled and taken the vocal off the music so you could hear what was really being played. And he said, Peter, you know, this isn't going to work on YouTube. He said, this is pop music. It's going to be heavily copyrighted. And I said, well, I bet since the vocal's pulled, it's going to fly. I said, I'll tell you what, let me shoot the video. And I go up, I got a high-speed internet connection here at the hotel, and I did a test on it, and nobody recognized it from copyright land because the vocal was pulled. And I've never heard Tidal pianos, or Tidal, sound like this with the Breuninger. He is new, he's combined, it's made it into a line stage, the M1. It's called 12, if I'm not mistaken, and for you guys who have turntables and other sources, now you can go Breuninger. You can use Breuninger DAC, you can plug your phono stage into it, and you're up and running. And when he played that music, it was like I was lost. I never heard it. I never heard such low notes. I thought, these are the smaller, if not the smallest, Tidal speaker made, and I'm hearing, I swear, 20 hertz. I mean, in that room. And I don't know if it was the walls doing the right thing or how he had the treatment set up, but boy, did that sound cool.
Yeah, it was splendid.
It was really splendid.
Something that was really different was when I dropped by again today. Dropped by the Stein Music Room.
I missed that room. Sorry.
Stein Music, Holger Stein has got. Here's a person who's been specializing in accessories for years now. Various tuning devices, his DE2 and DE3 demagnetizing devices and so forth, and I use them regularly. But all of a sudden, he let me know as I was coming in. He says, "I got something different," and he's gone into electronics. He's got full electronics going now, multiple components, and his own speaker.
Why didn't somebody tell me this? I go by the room because I think I'm going to hear a bunch of tuning devices.
Yeah, tuning.
Oh, geez.
You go in there, as a matter of fact, probably the most amazing looking speaker in the whole show was Holger's new. It's got a giant white horn up above, a smaller white horn, and then big dynamic speakers down the front and down both sides. It's the thing is honeycombed, and with his electronics, I sat there and listened to several kinds of music on the fly, and I was thinking, this doesn't sound like a horn at all. You'd look at it first, if you walked in, you'd think this looks like an alien planet version of an avant-garde, and instead, it sounded not like anything of the sort.
I'm going to have to run to that after we shoot this.
Well, yeah,
even if they're tearing it down, I want to take a look and see what it looks like.
Well, after we're finished here, I'll show you the photograph I made of it. And that'll get you up there.
Well, just send it over. I'll dump it into the video.
It is really interesting sounding. Smooth when the music was smooth, and then when there was detail and articulation, it was there, but never honky, never colored, never forward, never etched.
How about that?
I was impressed.
How about that? Okay. What I always like to do is, what would you take home? What one product would you take home?
Oh, I hate it when you do this. This is really hard because we were in multiple categories of products. I don't know. I mean, those MM3 exacts would be delicious in my listening room, no doubt about it. I think that Kevin and Jonathan have got a killer speaker there, and it'll scale to whatever you want to throw at it. It's just monumental. What about you?
Okay, well, I'm going to go with something that I can actually fit into my, because that's big speaker system. I'm going to go with an amplifier. I'm going to go with the Aries Surratt single-ended amplifier. It's I've heard it in the Believe Hi-Fi room. I heard it at CES. I heard it here on Vandy 5s. And Vandy 5s to me are okay speakers. but they really came to life with this amplifier.
If I had to fit it in my car, maybe 4 of the AudioNet Maxes would be nice too. I wouldn't mind a double pair of Maxes, I can tell you right now.
Yeah, that's in the big GTT room, and of all the rooms here, I mean, the most impressive, the biggest sound, it just disappeared.
Yeah,
it was
wonderful.
cool. It was
wonderful.
just wonderful.
Well, Bill Parrish, Joe Cabala, Dick Diamond.
Yeah.
Those guys are they're it's like the Three Musketeers.
Yep.
And every time they do a room, it's just a hellaciously good room.
Yep.
What can you say?
What can you say? Well, what a show it was. As Bob Levy told me, he said, we have capacity for 15,000 people. He said he expected over 10,000. He thinks over the 3-day period he's going to easily break through that 10,000 number. There were well over 120, 30 listening rooms, exhibits, representing more than close to 500 products.
Exactly.
I mean, it's huge.
And the weather was brilliant.
It was perfect.
Perfect weather.
Perfect weather.
You can chalk this. If you don't make the show at Newport Beach every year, you're missing one of the premier events on the planet.
That's it, man. You are missing one of the best.
Yep.
Well, I give the show a thumbs up and a handshake
too.
to my partner here, David Robinson.
As always, great to deal with you, Peter. I enjoy doing this, and this was a particularly good show.
This was a great show. So make it to come and join us in 2017. If you get sick, if you're having a wedding you got to go to, we'll be shooting video for you. David will be writing up notes and taking pictures, so we got you covered. Okay.
All the best to you, Peter.
Okay.
We'll see you one of these days soon.
We'll see you at the next reviewer's review.
Bye-bye.